You know what I'm saying? Blue, who, flu. They can do a whole bunch of stuff.
I want to push you out this chair right now. What's up, Internet World? We're the News 19 Nerds. I'm Leroy.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Avery.
Cool. So we're here. What episode is this?
It's episode 5.
Episode 5 of The Watchmen. Mm-hmm. So
a lot of questions answered.
This one really leaned into the graphic novel. The beginning. So what did you guys think?
This is my second favorite episode of the whole series, with the first episode still being number 1. Looking Glass was one of the most intriguing characters to the show to me, and just to get like a backstory of how he, like why he is like how he is, was dope. I love how I don't know, like you said before, this episode did a whole lot of connections to the comic book that I feel maybe
Graphic novel, my bad. Graphic novel more than the other episodes did.
Yeah, I thought there were a lot of questions that were answered from this episode. Some that, still left us with questions, but answered a lot of questions that we had from the beginning.
You keep saying answered a lot. What questions did it answer for you?
Well, I'll talk about that.
Oh, you don't want to get into spoilers just yet? Okay, I was like, because you answered a lot of questions. I'm like, well, what questions did you have that got answered? Because to me, this one just blew my mind and asked more questions.
Yeah, it did add questions, definitely. Every episode adds some questions, but this one answered questions as well.
Okay.
Which I think they do a good job of doing that with giving you some background or giving you some resolution to some things, but then also saying, but here's a whole lot that you still got to swallow.
I have a question for you, Leroy.
It would be nice if you were on camera, Michael.
Maybe. But in previous reviews and in other videos that we've done on YouTube, you have talked about how much you like Timothy Blake Nelson.
Yeah.
This episode really showcased him as an actor. So just non-spoilers, what do you think of the episode in terms of showcasing him?
It showed why he's a great actor. I mean, you can go back and watch the Ballad of Scruggs or whatever. Bucks of Scruggs. You can go back and watch the Coen Brothers movie with him and George Clooney and John Turturro. Yeah, I mean you see his range in so many different things that this just shows why he is who he is, and why when a lot of people were like, oh, this, because right now everybody's like, this is a great show, everybody's all in love with it. When he was announced as a cast member of the show, to me that settled a lot of people's fears that this was not going to be a crappy show.
Yeah.
When we argue over certain people. We argue over, how is this Batman going to be versus this Batman, because this person. When you cast someone of that stature, when you cast a Jeremy Irons, when you go and you get Regina King, is it King or Hall?
It's King.
King. Okay, I always mess that up.
Regina Hall is.
Yeah.
This is peeing on my floor. That's not my floor.
So when you get certain actors, and you're like, because at first people were like, Louis Gossett Jr.? What was the last thing you were in? But then when you said Blake Nelson, you were like, oh, okay, I see where you're going with this. I see you're bringing on quality actors. And he basically had to carry this entire episode by himself.
Which he did very well.
And so you saw the gravity of this character grappling with things, like you said, answers a lot of questions, but then asked a ton of questions. This is the 5th episode.
Yeah.
The 5th!
I thought you were going to keep going.
Okay.
No, I thought you were going like Dave Chappelle.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, you stopped. You stopped. You really did.
5th, bro man from the 5th floor.
From the 5th. See, you.
5 times.
You let us down.
My bad.
Yeah, you really bring it. So, this being the 5th episode, we now know certain things that we didn't know in the beginning. It answered a lot of questions. Have you been reading, because I brought it up, for those people out there, have you been reading the Pedopedia along with the episode?
I've been going back and reading afterwards.
There's lots of...
a lot to digest. I mean, I knew from this episode, I thought that part of the Pedopedia was pretty cool with this explaining
what the pills were. Okay.
Yeah, so if you are following the Pedopedia, I thought that was a good explanation. It's like we see those kind of commercials
for you,
in real life.
Since you didn't read the graphic novels, the difference between the movie and the show, did this part hit harder for you? How the end of the world was supposed to happen?
Yeah, because like I said, I haven't read it, but from looking at the backstory from this show being straight from the graphic novel, knowing some of the things, at least big things of the graphic novel, I'm starting to see like how the whole New York situation played out. I was like, oh, finally, like we get to see it. Like this is like this is crazy. We understand, it's talked about how it happened, why it happened. And that's why I said before, this is like my second favorite episode compared to the first, because the punches it gave you, it just hit hard. Yeah. Like I know from like other shows, spoilers for other shows, 'cause I don't know why you watch it, I haven't seen other shows. When we learn about, Will being Angela's grandfather and, what Judd was hiding in his closet to, things getting more in depth with the 7th Cavalry. This right here, even though it was mostly about Looking Glass, it answered so many other things, like of the world that was going on in the show.
So we're skirting around this. So let's go ahead.
Spoilers!
Hold on. Dang. I was gonna say. I was gonna say, give them the speech that we always give.
Okay.
Right now, we're gonna do our little hand movement. We're going into spoilers. If you want, come at the end of the episode. And then you can come back. But right now, we're going to get into spoilers.
Get into the spoilers.
So, Lauren, let's start with you. And then we'll go to Avery for his take. What answers did you get from this episode?
It confirmed my suspicion that the senator was involved in the 7th Cavalry.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it confirmed again that it confirmed that Judd was also involved with the 7th Cavalry.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I didn't want to just speculate because of the clan robe. Mm-hmm. But...
Petey also told you.
Yeah. That too, but this is confirmed in the episode.
Disembodied voice from off to the side.
In the episode, that they were both involved. See? And answered the question of how Looking Glass got the way that he got, because I feel like that was a question that I had because he was so different. I mean, everybody has their mask. You got Red Scare, but he's kind of like an open book, right? So he's kind of like,
he's a thug.
He's a thug.
If we get a backstory episode of Red Scare, I'll be happy with that too.
I mean, I'd be happy with that too. But
if he makes it to season 2, I'm pretty sure we'll probably get one.
Yeah, but I mean, Looking Glass, he had this whole other. What we saw with when he was helping out Angela with the pills, he had a whole nother bunker. And it was just like, okay, so this man is not crazy, but he's paranoid. Why is that?
He's a prepper.
He's a prepper. He's a doomsday prepper, and so we're like, why is that? And so this episode confirmed why. With his background of being, in New York during the event.
Jersey.
Oh, excuse me, in Jersey during the event, when the event happened in New York, and that still affected New Jersey too.
Shout out to all our Jersey fans.
Yeah, and New York, yeah.
I don't know where that came from.
I don't know either. But anyway, so it answered those questions, and then I think I'm getting a little bit confused because I watched the 4th episode again before I watched the 3rd or the 5th.
So did you watch them back to back?
I watched them back to back just because I needed let me get a refresher again before I go into this episode. But I think that those questions were definitely on my mind, and they were confirmed in this episode.
What answers did this episode what questions did this episode answer for you?
Wondering why Looking Glass chose that mask of everything. Mm-hmm. Oh goodness! Finding out more about the 7th Cavalry, what exactly they were doing, and it kind of shows that 7th Cavalry isn't just like a bunch of rednecks just out there just being racist and doing whatever they want to, because
it's a method to the madness.
Yeah,
it showed that they're organized.
Yeah, like they got the senator with them. They got they transporting basketballs through the ceilings and stuff. And now they have Looking Glass in their pocket, like the lady said. I did all this to bring you here. Like I knew you was gonna show up. They had the walkie-talkie hacked and everything. So it's stuff with the 7th Cavalry is I'm seeing how in depth and crazy this is going.
We planted the lettuce to fall from the truck.
Fam,
that was good.
That lettuce fell so clean too.
It did.
And I was so happy. I was just like, oh, that's the truck. That's the lettuce. He got him. We about to shut it down, but no. And I just thought it was so dope too how once the senator was showing Looking Glass, the reason why everything was happening, it was the same visual as we saw in the graphic novel and in the Watchmen movie of Ozzy just like sitting there watching all like the screens and stuff. I just love how they can make any little thing like a callback to the movie or the.
Now remember,
graphic
they're not calling back to the movie.
Well,
they're actually dunking on the movie.
Well, yeah.
By kind of like doing the squid.
And speaking, well, I'll let
you good, Asia?
I'm good. Shout out to Asia Wilson for the show.
I'm like, you good over there, Candace?
One of the
Candace
Gamecock athletes ever.
Man.
Candace Park over here just dunking on people.
Speaking of squid, yeah, break that down, man.
So, the thing, if you've been reading the Peterpedia we had been talking about, I thought was very interesting that it literally gave, if you had been reading and keeping up, it kind of gave you that. Yeah, we know. That's how you do. It gave you that blank moment when Veidt said to Robert Redford, I had been planning for this all along. If you go back, and I'm trying to figure out which one it was.
You still get that. You still get that.
True, but if you've been reading the Peterpedia, it talks about how Veidt had been contributing to the Democratic campaign.
Yes.
And so he's been talking about this blue wave and Veidt getting exactly what he wanted and manipulating that.
And this is all coming together.
And this is
what you can do when you got money and you're smart.
And this is what he...
Commentary.
It really is. It really is commentary for what... And it goes back to one of the things that says there are real-world implications from this from our world to this show. Mm-hmm. You see the influence of money in politics. Mm. And that moment of not just seeing Veidt explaining to Robert Redford, I did this so you could be here, but also that moment of Looking Glass saying that little thing to his wife, or his ex-wife, when he asked her about the pills. And then she was like, which one is different? He was able to look, boom, that one right there. And what did she do? She destroyed it. She put that dog, she put the dog in the thing, and she asked, do you want it? And he said, what am I going to do with the dog? Mm-hmm. But if you go back and look on the extra dimensional anxiety page, the bottom of it says pet therapy. And the fact that he had been dealing with this thing for so long, and he had been trying to help other people. Meanwhile, he is
not confronted his own.
He is not confronted.
I mean, even having the I don't know what the material is called again. What's the material called?
I know what you're talking about.
Lining the foil lining his hat. Mm-hmm. That like these are things that you wear. I don't know if it's lining his clothes too, but I guess it's trying to protect his head. So, might be.
But the thing is that I thought was interesting was the psychic backlash, and you got to see the effect of that from what Veidt said. It wasn't just killing the 3 million people. It was the psychic backlash that happened to the people in that radius that Veidt said.
That's what he was trying to do, though.
He was trying to do that. And then you get to see it, that trauma on people. Because this was a big thing from the graphic novel. We had started with the Tulsa Massacre, but now we're getting into the graphic novel of what Veidt wanted to do and said, this is it. And you get to see the actual consequences of his actions in regular people. Do
you think that they're comparing, not necessarily comparing the same events, but comparing the aftermath of those events? Because when you think about like the Tulsa Massacre, all the people died, there was fear that was, fear came from that. Do you think that it's similar, not similar, but on the same?
Nope. I think they're two different things. The Tulsa Massacre and what happened with that goes to that idea of what you talked about with the senator being part of the 7th Cavalry. In other words, when it goes to this thing, and I don't know if you guys realize this, but Damon Lindelof read the reparations book that Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote, which allowed and affected him in how he said, that shaped him in this episode. We're going to use race in this situation. In the sense that these people took their hoods off, but they didn't go anywhere. Remember those people who were yelling at the little girls who were going to school? Mm-hmm. Those people didn't just say, segregation is over, integration won, how you doing, darky? No, those people then went into politics. They went into law enforcement. They didn't go anywhere. They became the judge. They became the senators. That's what that was. The New York attack mirrored September 11th. The things that people went through and that trauma they went through, that they were attacked. They didn't know why. And remember that campaign?
Welcome back to New York.
That's one of the same campaigns that they ran, or close to, after September 11th. That come back. We want you to come back. So there was two different...
People was like, nah, nah.
Yeah, and so there were two different traumas going on.
Right.
And remember he was like, it probably was a bad touch to put the calamari in there.
Hello. As soon as I saw that calamari, I was like, now that's messed up.
it really...
You know how I like my squid? With lemon.
And so
olive oil.
The funniest thing is, it was
deep fried.
So interesting seeing that back and forth between the two of them. Now, what I want to know from you guys is, do you believe that Jed was the one who spared Angela? Or I'm sorry, Judd. Was Judd the one who spared Angela from episode 2? Because now we're finding out from the senator, and we know he's not a reliable source. Mm-hmm. He was part of the 7th Cavalry. Yeah. He's part of this conspiracy. We know Angela was knocked out dead to rights. We know Black Manta did not help her. So was Judd the reason why she was still alive?
From the way how the show was shot, or how this show is like edited, a lot of times they do a dissolve or like a quick cut from one face to another, saying that there's a connection there. And in that episode, we saw the last thing Angela seen was one of the 7th Cavalry members standing over there, like she saw his face. She closed her eyes. Next thing she sees is Judd. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not sure exactly why Judd would have saved her. Like, if he already busted in her house.
Yeah. And he didn't know her at that point either. He knew she was law enforcement, but he didn't know her personally.
So question is,
it could have...
Or could it have been her grandfather?
Nah.
Who was in the 7th Cavalry mask?
Who saved her?
Oh.
Because Avery just alluded to, we get cuts to where...
Yeah.
Because this is my question. Two things. Who saved Angela? Because she was dead.
Yeah.
You don't survive. You don't survive a shotgun blast to the face and get back up unless you are Superman or somebody like that.
She didn't get shot in the face though.
So why did that person not shoot her?
Yeah.
So why did that person not shoot her? And also,
well, never mind. Once you say that, I don't think it's Judd. Well, I don't think it's
You don't think it's Judd who saved her, or you don't think it was her grandfather who saved her? And the reason why I asked that is because
it can't be both.
It's too many questions.
Hold on. Let me.
Because know.
Here's the next question, which everybody's overlooking. How did her grandfather know Judd was 7th Cavalry when no one else did?
He said he didn't know about what was going on in.
But he said he was part of. He said he was part of the conspiracy. So how did he know? And how does Lady True know about this conspiracy?
Lady True got enough money to know about everybody and they.
But this is my question: how do they both know? And how is Angela still alive?
She too.
They can't. In other words, but what I'm saying is, then who are those friends? Because you can't. In other words, we know that those are two things. Grandfather knew. Grandfather somehow is still alive at 109 years old.
Michael, I don't know.
And that's why I said it answered a lot of questions. But it literally asked you, and it's like, okay, if the senator, because keep in mind, the senator knew who Angela is, the senator knew who Angela was, and the senator is also part of 7th Cavalry. So we know the kidnapping was a fake. We know FBI agent Blake has been sent to help because she knew it wasn't 7th Cavalry. Mm-hmm. And the senator even said it wasn't 7th Cavalry. We knew it wasn't us because he was 7th Cavalry. Mm-hmm. So who is now going after 7th Cavalry?
They don't have a reason to at this point. They have a reason to, but they don't.
And the senator has his own motivations because he said, I came down here to keep these racists in check. Which means he has his own motivations for being there.
So why were they going after Looking Glass got on their side, basically, and told on Angela for having the nostalgia pills? Who was that group of 7th Cavalry going to his house afterwards?
Either they're going to recruit him or they're going to kill him.
He looked like they was recruiting.
Yeah, like they had.
So in other words, is it a loose end or they're going? Because again, these are the things I'm asking because we, like Avery said, we know that these are not just a bunch of redneck racists. They have a plan. We knew they were taking the watch batteries. The lithium watch batteries.
I think it's probably the power that
So because the senator said, we're going to open a portal over Tulsa And he's like, it's not an attack. We're going bigger. So what is the senator's plan that actually goes that goes contrary to what 7th Cavalry wants?
I mean, I think it has something to do with Ozzy Nandez too. Like, we haven't even gotten to another question that was answered, for me, is I was wondering where he was launching these bodies to, right? Because I knew there was a portal. I saw them go through, you
saw them go through the clouds.
Go through the clouds, but it looked like it wasn't like a poof of going through a cloud. More of like, this is a void.
Dude, is there really a poof when you go through a cloud?
I don't know. I've seen it on movies when they poof through clouds. I know, but that's all I have reference to because I don't go through clouds like that
guys,
all the time.
You guys are smart. You've corrected us before. Are there poofs when you go through a cloud? I'm just asking. I don't know.
It's a break in the cloud, and there was no break in the cloud.
I see what I'm saying. Is it a cumulus cloud? Is it a stratus cloud? I don't know.
We need
there was no
Yandy for
break.
this.
Jim Yandy, friend of the show.
Sir, you do anything? We're doing a review of a fictional show called The Watchmen on HBO. We need to know about clouds.
It did not seem like there was
I'm
a break.
with my wife and still making more money than you on my vacation.
Alright. It did not look like there was a break in the cloud. So that's why I realized it was a portal
Jim Yandy is Ozzy.
instead of going through the cloud somewhere.
Okay, so with Ozzy Nandez, we now know, and shout out to the commenters who've been, the last 2 videos you guys had, there's been quite a few commenters who actually said he's on the moon. He's in a dome. They were like, look, that's where he is. And they said that before this episode came out. Because they alluded to the fact that...
Which moon, though?
There's only one, the moon.
No, there's moons of other planets.
It was I wouldn't say it's our moon because the satellite was looking down and you could see our planet. But the reason why I asked that is because you mentioned he was going through a portal, and or
it could very well be like how people
and the commenters the commenters brought up the fact that he was sending the bodies and they were coming back frozen, which meant that they were in space. And so now we have to wonder is who was the game warden? Because remember, the game warden said something very powerful at the end.
He said, if you don't bring your tail back.
No, that's not what he said. He said...
I mean, that's not what he said specifically. But
what did he say?
He said, get over here.
That's not what he said.
That's what he did.
That's not
what he did.
So what
got to die.
What was...
Tell us what he said, Leroy.
I'm asking y'all because he said you are under arrest. So that lets you know he's under what? The jurisdiction of the United States.
I mean, yes. So sure.
So now,
but it could also have been somewhere else. If we didn't think,
he said.
I knew it was the moon.
But so now.
But the question was which moon, and so it was like, okay, confirmed that this is the Earth's moon.
But now it makes you wonder. At the beginning of the show, what? Or I don't want to say the beginning. What did the senator make Looking Glass watch?
At the beginning of the show,
I'm saying it when
of this episode.
When Looking Glass from the senator, he made him watch that video of Vite admitting to committing this.
Yeah.
Right. If we know in the Pedopedia, Vite was declared dead, and the FBI agent P.D. Dale was saying he's not dead. We now know the U.S. government has been hiding Vite the entire time on the moon as punishment for what he did in New York.
But isn't it late? I mean, has he been missing since, or he's been?
But this is the thing.
Has he been gone since the incident?
Again, this could be a Westworld situation where these two things are not absolute. They're not happening at the same time. So this could be happening before all of the portal stuff, or this could be happening afterwards. We don't know. But this lets you know that the U.S. government knows where Vite is and knows that he is a threat. In that video, because this is my question. Why did they let the senator watch this video of the Ways and Means Committee? And what does that do? Why would you let someone watch that?
That's why I think they're going to kill him, because he shouldn't know that information.
The senator?
Other than I'm talking about Looking Glass.
What I'm
Looking
asking
Glass shouldn't know that information.
No. Why would the government...
Unless you're part of...
Why would the government
show the senator?
Yep. Why would the government...
Because the government's 7th Cavalry.
Maybe it's
Everybody.
maybe it's select officials that get to know exactly.
But why the Ways and Means Committee? Because he admitted he wanted to be on what? The Intelligence Committee.
Yeah.
He wanted. So why in the world did the Ways and Means Committee?
Because y'all think that the Ways and Means Committee ain't doing nothing, but they out here sliding bills under the table, and not y'all don't know about it.
So
Ways and Means.
He aligned himself with the 7th Cavalry.
Who's on Ways and Means
we
Committee?
know he was. We know he was at the funeral for Judd.
South
We
Carolina.
know he was sitting there. He knows who Angela is. So my question is, how much does the government have to invest it in the 7th Cavalry and Vite's missing and disappearance?
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, clearly they have the means to be able to put him on the moon or put him in another
So he's on the moon.
planet.
Dr. Manhattan's on Mars.
Right.
I don't believe it's Earth's moons. I'm just saying that.
Okay,
I think it's another
but the
planet.
question, but this is but disembodied voice on the side. Why do you believe that?
Just the way it looked like it didn't look like Earth's moon to me.
Because you've been there.
Are there
Yes.
more like
Yep.
different like versions of planets too? Like, is there like a different Mars?
Mars looks
Hold
extremely
on.
close. That was weird.
Hold
or
on.
was it Jupiter? I mean, like I don't know. It was
What are the
a
seven?
weird
What is the 7th Cavalry working on right now?
On the
being able to
teleportation.
teleport and probably go back in time. I don't know.
So how did they get to the moon?
Teleported there.
So in other
From
words,
Dr. Manhattan's technology, right? Or
so the
something.
question becomes is this after the 7th Cavalry masters teleportation to put Vite on the moon? Or a moon, as Michael says.
Also, disembodied voice. I feel like time works differently where Vite is as well. That's what we get with the birthday cakes, with the things.
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
those are anniversaries of how long he's been there. So,
'Cause
not
how
only
long-
is it happening in a different time from whenever Oklahoma is happening, I also feel like time is different there too.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
But again, are these things may not be working at the same time because we see 7th Cavalry. Because remember, he was like, all right, the basketball ended up in the church. Now the basketball's over here.
Yeah.
That
We-
basketball kept jumping out of nowhere.
And so the question becomes, is the 7th Cavalry really a racist organization? Or is 7th Cavalry a front for a racist organization that's part of a conspiracy to actually bring about or open different portals?
I think it's all of it.
It could
Yeah,
be
it could
because,
be all.
and again, Avery brought up a very good point. We understand that they are just not a bunch of racist yahoos, and that we in real world situations, how many terrorist organizations run around with cyanide pills so that they won't be caught and be interrogated because they know Looking Glass is good. So you want to bring in the one person who can figure everything out.
Also, do you think that he was completely turned? I mean, I don't think he was completely turned by them because in the end, I mean, we saw that he gave up Angela. I mean, that was a quick get for them, I guess. But in the end,
For who?
For 7th Cavalry.
It was for the 7th Cavalry, but it was also for
FBI as well. But in the end, he still went back for his emergency device.
Did he?
Yeah, he went back for that. After he threw it away. He got the
He
new...
threw it away.
He
Started walking to the house, and he went back and picked it back up.
And so
And we saw that van pull up.
and we saw the van pull up. So did he serve up Angela to get more information? Because he's intrigued.
Yeah.
He wants to know because that blew his mind, as you said, because he knew exactly what portal that was. And that's the first time we'd ever heard in the show of a portal being used, and he knew exactly what it was. So my question is, why does he know that? Where did that portal come from? And how much
He
support?
probably discovered it on the road of his...
He knew exactly what it was.
No, for real. Like he probably understood exactly because of everything that he's done since the event that happened in New York and trickled to New Jersey. Like when you're into conspiracies, like you discover some stuff and people don't believe you.
And he has a degree of it was something with like squids and like extra dimensional stuff. So I'm pretty sure when you have a degree about that, you get a little extra like knowledge of.
You understand that can
Okay.
be real.
So back to my original question: who is funding the 7th Cavalry?
I feel like it's gotta be somewhere between Miss True, somebody who's.
We know it's not Miss
Vite.
True because Miss True says in a trailer, "I'm going to help you stop the 7th Cavalry." In one of the trailers, remember, she says, "I'm going to help you stop them."
Maybe it was a lie.
We don't believe nothing now.
And so
see it and read it.
And that's why I said this episode to me asked more questions than it answered, because it just confirmed things, because you'd always said Vite was being held someplace, possibly, or it might have been Michael, possibly the moon. You had already said certain things that we knew that the senator may be shady. Mm-hmm. So it just confirmed to me, it asked more questions, because to me it asked, who else is in the 7th Cavalry? What else does the 7th Cavalry know? Because if they were able to get his walkie-talkie, they were able to know where he lives, know who he was.
You got law enforcement in there too.
So it's...
Panda? Is Panda a part of it too?
Because again, I ask, is 7th Cavalry, Avery brought it up, they're not just a racist, or is the racism just a front?
It might be.
Is it just a front?
If they had the chief in their pocket, they got the senator in their pocket. Is
it that the senator's in their pocket, or is he controlling them?
But he
well, I guess just helping them out and stuff.
He's obviously not controlling them, because they killed a cop, which brought attention to them that he says, I had to come down here for this. We know that he's not controlling them. He said, I have to keep these racists in line. So is he using them for something else? And what is he using them for?
Did y'all see the preview for the next episode where Angela...
Angela going on a trip.
Yeah, she going down memory lane, but not her memories, because
Nope.
she took nostalgia and a lot of it. So
she took all of it.
It was like
Yeah.
Straight to the dome.
If y'all could choose one person to take their nostalgia pills, who would it be?
Nobody.
Well, you don't have to take anybody else's. It's
I don't
supposed to be tailored for you.
I don't want nobody else's
Lady
memories.
True.
You might get something that you did not want to see.
According to Wikipedia, Lady True developed this pill, and it's basically she can customize your memories so that, life's hard in the present, and the future is unknown. But you can rest on your nostalgia. You don't need Disney Plus, because you can take a pill and go back to when you was, learn about the Lion King when you first saw it.
Sick Disney Plus reference out to you. But going back to, I know
I'm just saying.
Thinking about where V might really be at. If
Behind
Dr.
that
Manhattan,
prepositional phrase.
if Dr. Manhattan is on Earth's Mars, then I feel like, because looking at what V was using the bodies to spell out, it said save me, and then at the end it was a D. I'm thinking that D was going to stretch out to be Dr. Manhattan.
I don't know if he had enough bodies for that.
Oh, he can make bodies.
Right. So like before he pulled off, like we saw that. So maybe that may be the thing of maybe he is on Earth's moon and he's trying to get Dr. Manhattan's attention, because maybe he's the only one that can save him, or either I don't know, man. It's either Manhattan or Lady True.
I want to know why if he was trying to escape, why he had the.
It didn't look like he was trying to escape. It looked like he was testing a theory.
And that's why he had the rope? Because he was trying to flee.
Because if he was trying to flee, he wouldn't have the rope.
Yeah.
And
That's
two,
what?
remember when he said, I knew it. And then when he was being pulled back, he was like, no, because he wasn't done. Going back to what Avery said, he was probably trying to spell out something else. And he looked at the satellite who had been watching him. I don't know whose attention he was trying to get, but if he was trying to get Dr. Manhattan's, would he be looking at the satellite? And we know he has limited amount of technology.
Did that satellite look old?
It didn't. So, I mean, to me, I love this episode because it asked more questions than it answered.
It answered some questions.
It was a great episode.
To me, it confirmed. But to me, I really loved it because it leaned into the graphic novel. When you got that squid, that literally is page for page from the graphic novel. That end.
Big old squid.
And you saw it like weaving through buildings, and you were like, and then you saw this kid who was like, what happened?
What kind of how did that cause basically like an EMP? Was it like not electromagnetic pulse, right? What was it? How did it cause
a psychic attack?
Yeah.
How did it cause a psychic attack?
It was what Vite created because he wanted to create the idea.
Then why not just poof a psychic attack? Not necessarily
because he said the only way to get mankind. Because remember, during the goes back to when the book was made. During the 80s, that was during a time of nuclear warfare, the idea of nuclear annihilation.
And kids getting under desks.
Yep, and so that he wanted something that would deter them. And the only thing that gets people to work together for unity is an external threat. that makes you say, well, you think a different religion, you think this or you think that.
But we're all humans.
There you go. And so...
There's a giant squid out there.
Uh-huh.
You get your gun, I get my gun.
And it's like, you may be a racist, and I may hate you.
But we don't want to die by a squid.
And so that's what Vite wanted. And he got that.
Yeah.
But he told on himself, to me, which is kind of what a lot of smart people do. They tell on themselves because they want...
I mean, you want some glory from that.
You want some
You don't want to
recognition.
sit back and be like, oh, I just did this show, and then not say anything. Like, if I dropped a giant squid, I don't know.
You do a stand-up?
I wouldn't do a stand-up, but I honestly, somebody would know.
Oh, you would tag out?
My mama would know at least.
You would tag out? You would be like, giant squid, Lauren Thomas, News 19, WLTX.
I would not do that. But I'm just saying, he definitely wanted to gloat a little bit on that.
He wanted to gloat, but also, you saw the damage that was caused, and you saw the repercussions of a different kind of attack. Mm-hmm. And you see that how this trauma affected this one person.
It was a good episode, though.
It really was. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to the next one.
Why? Because you think it won't measure up to this one?
I just don't care about old man talk about, here's my memories. Like, old man, you should have been just straight up with me.
But the thing is, we need to understand a little bit more about him to understand what they have in store. What is this other thing? Because you have the 7th Cavalry in this, and clearly working with, with V on this. Like we have that section. Who are they? Like, why do we care about?
I understand that, but I guess for me, yeah. I'm tired of the trope of the mystical man comes in and you must understand my plight. Just tell me what's going on, man. Mm-hmm. Like, she was, like, think about this. If you were Angela, when she was talking to Lady True, you would have said the same thing. Leave me because you could have told me. You don't have to be cryptic. You don't have to be all of this. You could have easily just came out and said that. Like, that's how I feel. I identify with Angela on that. So that's why I'm like, it better be something big for you to have come back and then tore up my car because you just dropped it on me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you killed the chief and then was like, oh yeah, he's part of a conspiracy. Oh, and
but he said in the 4th episode that I can't just tell her this stuff. She has to figure it out.
I agree, and that in my opinion.
No, I mean for her,
that's how I feel.
But literally for her to believe it, she has to go through that. We've seen her having to go through things to believe stuff.
Hey, I'm like this. You write it out. I can read it. Oh, so November the 7th. December. I can read it. I don't need all of this minutia to get to that point.
I think what we get probably from the next episode with her going back to his memories, maybe we see how the relationship started between him and Lady True. Maybe how he figures out about
Vite.
About Vite, about Judge, Heritage or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we also may get something where if we do have this theory of him being what's the hero called? Something
the
Hooded Justice.
Yes.
Yeah, if he maybe Hooded Justice, maybe we get something with that. And clearly, we see he was on the police force.
Yeah, he was. So was he part of Tulsa's police force?
No, he's in New York.
Okay.
Shout out to Careless Whisper.
Uh-huh.
I was hoping y'all was gonna bring that up. George Michael. They brought that in several times.
You don't have no idea how hype I was. Like, I looked up who was singing that rendition and tried to figure
We heard that several times. We also heard Claire de Lune, that famous kind of song that's kind of ethereal, kind of.
To me, I really love the
space.
To me, I want to go back and listen and read. If you look at the lyrics of Careless Whisper, like, why that song?
He cheated her friend.
I know, but
Angela.
I know, but like, it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, I want to hear from Damien Lindelof, like, because we saw he used Beastie Boys' Eggs, and we saw he use that in episode 2. Yeah. So I really want to hear like the music selection because it was very spot on. Mm-hmm. Every time they picked a song, why they picked that song, like what was going on in the writers' room that they were like, that's it right there.
I want to know what was going on in the writers' room in the first episode where they chose that Future song.
Juxtaposition.
I think it was just juxtaposition.
It was juxtaposition.
Because think about it, how many times have we seen that interaction? Us in the media, how many times have we seen an interaction of the cops pulling somebody over, listening to that music, and then seeing the juxtaposition of the person was white and the officer's black? And that was the juxtaposition that they're talking about. That's the reason why they chose it, because your preconceived notion is the officer is white, the person in the truck is black.
Okay. Whole
But it
switcheroo with the future Hendrix.
So let us know what this is what our interpretations. We will get Michael a chair. I don't know why he didn't get one. He think he better than us, but we want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah.
Do you shout out to some of the, because a lot of the commenters when you guys did this the last two, they really were like, Lauren's right, Avery's right. So let us know what you thought we got right. Let us know what you thought we got wrong.
Also, I thought that in the fourth episode that there was the Lady True might have been cloning her daughter or something, like her daughter was a clone because she had those memories. But looking at the PDpedia for this week and having that nostalgia, they warned don't have your kids take it, don't have anybody else take it because then they could have these memories too. And
it was really cold when she's like, "You go walk me back to my bed."
No, because I had to go through that. So bye. Go to sleep. Like, you living in billions. Go to sleep.
So yeah, so let us know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you guys are really intrigued by this next episode or you like, I personally, Louis Gossett, you could have sent me a text.
Shout out to Louis Gossett Jr. though, because he really is
doing some great acting.
Doing some great acting. And you over here just saying, "Oh, he alright."
It's great acting, but what I'm saying is, I'm really
part of the show.
I'm really like with Angela, where I'm mad. You messed up my life.
Mm-hmm. Did he though?
Really?
Did he mess it up?
Now
it's messed up. I thought
he could have easily been like, "Hey man, let's meet for coffee, Starbucks."
What kind of coffee would that have been?
I'm just saying. He really like.
He's taking her on an adventure.
Adventure she did not want to go on.
I bet you gonna get her out of jail anyway. They can, you know what I'm saying? Blue, flu. They can do a whole bunch of stuff.
I want to push you out this chair right now.
I'm just saying.
Where can they find us?
Guys, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, WOTX.com, YouTube, of course, and we're out. Push you out this chair. Blue.